Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, my special guest is Miss Clarice Dombeck, the one and the only. And she's waiting in the wings, so I want to bring her on in. Um, as I said, she is the one and only. I mean, fantastic young lady. She's does everything. And I'm not joking. I mean, she's out there in the garden, which she knows I don't like, but I'll take some of the rewards. I will reap those. But she does the gardening, she does door to door. She does engagements, going to school to get her master's, finishing that up. So there's just so many things this young lady does. You might know her from community and organizer. She is currently with the Redress, among all the other things that she does, the Redress movement. And you see her down at City Hall. She's I think I'm going to start calling you my surrogate. So when I can't be there, you got to be there. Or we can do it vice versa, one or the other. But I asked Clarice to stop by to today in order to um talk about a couple of things going on here in Omaha, pretty much happening in the city council, um, that's going to be taking place Tuesday. And we really need to have people there. We need to have you voice your opinion to talk about the homelessness um, situation and that ordinance that's coming up. Because I think, again, as I said, that's very important. Let me see what's going on here. How come I can't get mine in? Um, there we go. But I don't want just me. Okay, now I think. All right, we're going to flip that. But Tuesday is coming up for two of things. The $40 million affordable housing for the urban core, which we talked about last week. I want to make sure that you need to understand what's going to happen with that. The amendment part was passed on Tuesday. And then it's going to take place for the vote this coming Tuesday. And the homeless ordinance is the public hearing. And then if it goes through for the public hearing and there's no one that wants to have it removed, then it will come up again on the 30th. But those are a couple of the items that I wanted to talk with Clarice. Oh, and I forgot she is on the board of Metro Transit, Metro area, that MAT, everybody calls it the MAT bus. So with that, Clarice, I wanted to ask you a question because you've been going around, you've been hearing, you worked with some of the homelessness organizations. What is the feelings that you have in the organization you represent, as well as the conversations you've been having with these various homeless organizations and individuals that are involved in it? And I want to make a point too, is that the ordinance is coming up that it's basically criminalizing a person for being in poverty or living on the streets or whatever. And I think most people I can say that I've talked to, yes, we do feel there is a homeless problem and we don't like to see it out in every day in our neighborhoods, but criminalizing it is not the answer. So with that, what has been your conversations with circles of friends and associates and organizations that you've been involved with?
Yeah. So first I would like to start off by saying like what the perspective is of redress movement and why are we involved? Why is a nonprofit organization that focuses on redressing racial segregation in housing and really getting redress for Black folks who obviously have had a very long history of racially discriminatory practices in housing and in other areas. So the reason why it pertains to us is because when you look at the population area, that threshold, which is the continuum of care for Omaha, I'm also on their board too, but this does not represent their views. These are redress movement. This is a redress movement issue right here. But when you look at the population area that the continuum of care serves, so that's the Omaha metropolitan area, it does include Council Bluffs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Black folks only make up 7% of that total population. So that also includes like Sarpy County, Council Bluffs, Omaha. So only make up 7% of that population. However, 27% of Black folks represent, I mean, oh, I'm getting my words mixed up. So only make up 7% of that population, but represent 27% of the homeless population. So
Mm-hmm.
there is obviously a disproportionate balance or burden of homelessness when it comes to the Black population. So that is why redress movement is involved. And I'll also say, in addition to that, when we look at the neighborhoods that homelessness, or folks who are homeless, is concentrated in, it's primarily in Northeast and Southeast Omaha.
Right.
So again, Black and Brown people. And the conversations that I've been having with individuals, and then also the one organization that I've been engaged, I would say the most with, Heal Omaha, is that we are all very concerned about the potential of this ordinance passing because the proponents of this ordinance and the people in our community that are upset with, ashamed of, embarrassed of, tired of seeing our homeless neighbors out in public spaces, they are louder than the advocates who are actually trying to come up with real solutions and get real
Mm-hmm.
solutions to address our homeless issue funded. Um, so pretty concerned, and really just trying to get as many people as possible to show up at city council and to show up and be informed and have the tools and resources and knowledge that they need to be able to contact their city council person and the mayor, or all city council people in the
Right.
mayor's office. And Omaha has organized a couple of different Zoom meetings to talk with folks who are interested in advocating about just like what some key talking points could be, what the what some key solutions are that actually work, and then also just talking to folks about how to have that conversation with our city council representatives. Um, and then there are some more sort of like relational organizing based efforts that are taking place where myself and others are asking our friends and people that we are in relationship with to contact their city council people directly and have
Mm-hmm.
these phone conversations with them. To me, I feel like that is the most impactful way, and the way that you're going to be able to get the most information from your city council person on how on what their stance is, to be able to get an idea on how they might vote on this ordinance. Because if I can be completely honest, there are a number of city council people that have not responded to any of my emails, whether they're official redress movement emails or if it's me emailing them as a constituent. So call them if you can. It's harder to ignore a phone call, I think.
Mhm. But I think, let me ask you this question. I don't think I think it's the criminalization of it, the fines and the way people will be um, approached, the way they are giving this like, okay, you get 24-hour notice that this is going to be cleaned up, cleaned out. I think that is the part that people that I've been talking to have the problem with.
Mhm.
Everyone that I've talked to admits it is a problem, but there should be other solutions instead of, and the reason why that word criminalization, folks, is tossed out there so much is because you're talking about fining someone up to $300. Okay, if you had $300, I don't think most people would be on the street. Now that's, I'm thinking that I don't have to be out there on the street, but I know people who are out there on the street. And I think, do you feel like many of the opponents are thinking along those lines? They're not opposed to doing something about it. They're saying, let's get a solution. It's the fining of people.
100%. It's let's get a solution. And instead of doing something punitive, let's actually do something that we know what works, like
Hmm.
having permanently supportive housing where individuals aren't just thrown into a city view, right? But they're actually placed somewhere that is accessible to, public
Hmm.
transportation, a grocery store, maybe their doctor's office or their mental health provider, and they get to work with a caseworker continuously
Hmm.
until they are to the point where they don't need that additional support anymore. So that is the thing that the folks that I've been talking with, at least, that is
Hmm.
like the solution that they would like to see.
Right. And you threw that name out there, that City View, and we both have been involved in trying to get that thing clean closed. And there's an idea right there because when you do research on it, several other cities have taken places like City View and put the money into that to make it be livable and have quarters. I mean, some of them have used that and they put in a health center for uh, the tenants in the building, which makes it so it has mental health assistance that could be used. And then they're able to help people right where they're at versus. And kind of like when you have, I was just reading an article, I think a couple of days ago, where an ex-basketball player, they invested money and the guy said um, he was just surviving on his Social Security, being able to pay his credit cards because he was using his credit cards to go from hotel to hotel. And he said, never in my life did I ever think I would be in this situation. And I don't think people are realizing it could be you. you know and if you look at the statistics, which I know that you research and everything on, it's showing the difference is the newer group is elders and families.
Yeah.
So when you see the family, so you arrest them so you can separate the parents in the home. So now what have you done? We've created another problem.
Mhm.
So I really I believe that there should be able to find a way to assist people versus locking people up. I mean, I know we
Mhm.
are a society for locking people up, and particularly the black and the brown. We can't just keep it real quiet. It is the elephant in the room. Just you have to say what it is. Or poor people. Period. Um, so I think most people, what we're trying to do, and I say we, people like yourself, me, others that we associate with, we're asking you, to look at this and think of it in a different route. Nobody wants it in their neighborhood. Yeah, we got that. But what do you do? It's kind of like if there's a person who has cancer, do you throw them out because they have the cancer? So, and people want to say homelessness has been around forever and it will always be with us. It's just that it has become more visible. My thoughts are, it's just become more visible. You see it more. Um, and then, I can only see it getting worse instead of getting better because of our government, I can't think of any other word. I was trying to be nice, is because of that. Do you see this in talking to, and you just mentioned the organization I was talking to, was it Heal on the
You have
whatever, the
Omaha?
one that goes through the streets?
Mhm.
They are seeing more already. Plus, like, said, you can't send everybody to shelter because some people, they're pets. You can't take pets into the shelter. Whereas if you took something like if you acquired City View, the city acquired it because it's in foreclosure, and that is if they had something like that, the person has their own individual apartment and you can teach how to take care of the apartment. They'd be able to have their own pet and be required. You have live on there that would make sure you got to follow the rules. And many of them would follow the rules. And if there was help for mental health right there in the building, I think it would help. More people get off. And if you've never been in that kind of situation, you can't understand. Unfortunately, we've become such a society, we don't have the empathy, the bad word. But some of those people who have pets, I mean, they will go without eating themselves in order to take care of that animal. And because it's the only thing, as one said, he loves me unconditionally. He
Um,
loves me. They find that. And how do you, how do you do, how can you it's like snatching that animal away is like snatching your child away. So I don't know what, you know, as you said, they're trying to I guess my thing is if we can give money to all this other stuff, you mean we can't give money to make sure our homeless. And what sticks in my craw is a lot of people who, and I don't judge anyone's faith or belief, or that's not it, but I don't know of any religion, um, any faith-based organization that says penalize our poor. I think they all say you're supposed to help that poor. If they're naked, you're supposed to clothe them. If they're homeless, you're supposed to find them a place to live. If they're hungry, you feed them. But I don't see anywhere where it says you put them in jail.
no. And one of the things that you were talking about earlier with sort of like maybe changing a city view or one of these other
Hmm.
condemned or nearly condemned buildings into a permanently supportive housing or maybe some sort of campus. I
Hmm.
know that there are some visionaries in the mayor's office. I'm not sure if you had the opportunity to talk with Tamara Dreyer, the homelessness coordinator,
Yes.
before, but I could definitely see if, if the funding was there, if the money was there, if some of the funds that are, going to all these other things,
Hmm.
was diverted to that instead, I could really see the city of Omaha creating a program like that.
Right.
And and at one point in time during COVID, there was something similar, not quite to that level, but there used to be, you probably remember when there was um, uh,
Douglas Street.
the non-congregate
Yeah.
shelter, yes, on
Hmm.
Douglas Street,
Hmm.
that was, shut down a a little while after COVID because they ran out of those ARPA funds, they ran out of that money and couldn't
Hmm.
continue. But that was one of like the few places where people could go and have their own space,
Hmm.
um, where a woman could go with her young child and they could have their own space
Hmm.
and not be worried about, who are all these other people around us, and to offer privacy and
Hmm.
dignity.
Right.
So something like that, I would
You
100% love to see,
right.
and um, would advocate for to do something with that for the budget for next year, right? Um,
Unfortunately, our problem is we can't wait till next year's budget. We should
yeah,
have had it in this one, but
yeah,
and like you said, it was the Douglas Street. They didn't even put all the money that they should have and could have. Only less than half almost of those apartments and units, they didn't plumbing didn't work. Things weren't
mm,
in there where they could. So they only had like 20, 25 beds.
mm,
But the idea was it was something to think, and I think progressive. Omaha always wants to try to be progressive, tries to be on
hmm
the front. And for a city to be on Forbes and say it's the best place to live, number one place to live, and I always say number one depending on who you are, it is
hmm
the best
And
place.
what zip code you live in?
Correct. So I think, you know, um, if we want to get back, we're asking folks, and I'm gonna say, even if you are for the ordinance, if you are a proponent, um, come to the city council with a suggestion. Because I find it really hard. I'm gonna give more people credit, maybe than they deserve, is to say that you can be so cold-hearted that you would want to come and say, um, I am a proponent of the punitive part of this ordinance. I just find it hard for people to how they can do that. But I'm sure there will be some, as we've seen in the pictures and so forth, that some of the people who put that into the and emails and pictures. But I'm just throwing it out as people, we have to do something. We can't turn our blind eye, but we've got to find a way to help people and not be able to turn them away. And so, on that subject, if there's anything else you wanted to add before we go on to the next one that I'd like to talk with you, okay.
No.
Um, we were at the city council meeting last Tuesday, or just this past Tuesday, and it was for I call it the $40 million boost to affordable housing. And we both testified from the proponent perspective with some kind of caveats to it. But I think I would like to talk about something that wasn't mentioned. You brought it up, and unfortunately, I had to leave for another appointment, and there was discussion on it. Um, I what I was told, there was some discussion on it, is that talks about the limit of when they talk about affordable housing. And it was the for this program right now, as it stands, it's 120% of the area median income, which is roughly about 136,000. Would you explain to our audience, what does that mean when you say the area median income?
So when we look at the city of Omaha and Douglas County, and you aggregate basically like that median, or I guess you can say even like the average of what a family of four, what income that they
Hmm.
bring in, their entire gross income for the year. Um, and then, uh, I'm sorry, you said to explain. Oh, did I explain that good enough, or do I need to go into it more?
If you're comfortable with that, what it means is the average income
Mm-hmm.
of what a family of four would be
Yep.
for.
Yep.
Okay. And so they're saying if you make, or the affordable housing is set so that if you have 120% of what the median or average income is for a family of four, that would be like 136,000. And people have to understand, a family of four and that 136,000 is not what you have net, folks. At
Mm-hmm.
136,000 might be is what they're saying is 120% of whatever the average is. You got four people in that family. So you got other expenses. And so it's not your net. It's not what you have. It's what you have as a gross to start with.
Right. And then when you look and see like families that are at that income level, they can already afford market rate housing in the
Correct.
area, right? So that shouldn't even be our target for affordable housing, right? Um, Folks that should be our target for affordable housing
Hmm.
are um honestly low income
Correct.
individuals, because we have um, the there's a significant gap in being able to find housing if your income is at 50% AMI or below.
Hmm.
And in Omaha, at least, that is the case for the majority of Black families. Their average, or area median income is $46,000 a year. So that's at 50% AMI or below. So far below that 120%.
Hmm.
And unless we are specifically targeting 50% and below, all of those folks are going to be left out.
Hmm.
And not only all of those folks are going to be left out, um, of being able to live in the urban core, and near this new streetcar project, and be able to benefit from having access to this public transit and everything else that's happening in the corridor. Folks who are living there now, uh, that are making um, um, below the, I'll say 60% AMI,
Hmm.
they're going to end up being priced out of
Correct.
where they live now. There's going to be another wave of gentrification. So, one of the things we were looking um, at redress was, well, what gentrification has already occurred in this area, in this urban core redevelopment district. And 7 of the 11 census tracts in that area have already been gentrified at
Hmm.
some point between 1990 and 2020. And I can remember some of those, right? So
Hmm.
Midtown Crossing, that census tract over there. Blackstone is the newest one. If you go and you look
Right.
at that data, it shows that Blackstone was gentrified in 2020, which means that there has been um, drastic, or statistically significant um, changes in the demographics of that neighborhood due to redevelopment. And the majority of folks who live in the urban core right now, they make less than um, uh, $72,000 a
Hmm.
year. And you would need to be at that $72,000 a year threshold to be able to afford any of these new affordable units that are going to be between 120 and 60% AMI. And I can say personally, most of the folks that I know,
Hmm.
they don't make 72K a year.
No. And again, you're talking about a family of four or even three, because you don't have, that's pretty much the average family is
Mm-hmm.
four. Um, and I remember when the Blackstone was taking off their people were coming down to the city council and were really upset and in Midtown about some of the housing that was being torn down to put up the new housing units, the apartments and so forth. And they were saying like, I can't even get, barely would be able to get a studio, let known of my one bedroom, or some of them had like two bedrooms. So they experienced that, and it was a shocker for some. And I want to make, people, oh, you're going to have all these poor people coming in. No, you're not going to have a lot of poor people come in. And it's okay to have mixed income, but affordable housing, I always say it should be mixed. I'm not for making them all affordable when you say affordable, meaning the lower income. That's not what personally I like to see. I like to see a mixed income. So one of the things I talk about when I go down to about a TIF plan is I'm not asking you to take all 191 units to become affordable. I'm asking you just take a percentage of those 191 units. Or when you see you're coming for a TIF, and tax increment financing or funding, which some people, whichever way you want to say it. But when I see that and they say they're going to be luxury apartments, I'm like, well, I don't see how that is fitting into what it's supposed to be, a TEF, and making it affordable. And like you say, that's going to change your whole neighborhood. That is going to change. And it's only when it happens are people going to start to understand you will be displaced,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a form of it, is being displaced. Gentrification is not for those who are there, it's for those who are coming in. So I think one of the things I hope that because this will come up on the agenda, but it's not another public hearing, it is the vote, is that people from now can start calling, or as you said, call or sending emails. And I will say they do get the emails. It's just they don't respond.
Yeah.
And I think we need to start calling them out because they're talking about, oh, call. No, you don't respond. But I think trying to get them in and to see if we can change this. And I highly suggest people call the mayor's office. Call the mayor's office is in some places where they did, what did they say? They caused the um, mayor's number or city manager in this one particular, because that's what they called them, was the city managers. They shut down the phone network because people were calling in. So um, do that is to say you're not being against this, but it should be where more people can participate in it, is
Yeah.
to do that. And I wish they would have more of a class to help people understand what the AMIs and so forth mean, and those what how much money that is as far as an individual family. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it in front of me, and I probably should have gotten it even for a family of just two. You're not going to be able to afford that living if you're not making somewhere over 70, and many people aren't. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not whether you're black or brown, and people, you need to get over that. You, just because a person's black, that you can find yourself in that. And as our economy goes down and unemployment is going up, new jobs aren't taking place. Those jobs that pay those big salaries, guess what? They're going away because you now have something called AI. I was just doing some reading on how young people had come out of college expecting, this communication and technology, and they were expecting to get these big paying jobs. But guess what? Google and them's not hiring them because they don't need them because they have AI. So, people need to understand these things could happen to you very easily. And so, is there anything else you might want to throw out on this topic of the $40 million? I really encourage people contact the mayor's office because and the city council because they can change that.
Yeah, just what you said, just for folks to contact city council, the mayor's office,
Hmm.
and to ask them what can they do to ensure that this new development that's happening in the urban core is going to be accessible to everyone,
Hmm.
not just the few. And one of the other things, now that I have my notes pulled up, that I found to be interesting is that the Omaha Housing Action and Affordability Plan
Hmm.
named that we need 7,000 units of housing priced for families making under 50K. So they know the need is there. They did that market analysis when they did the housing action and affordability plan to see not only how many units we need, but how many units at what levels. And from what I remember at the city council hearing, they said it's likely that they'll be able um, to produce, I think, up to 1,900 units of housing with this. Well, what percentage of that is going to be at that 50K or below?
Hmm.
It should be significant, in my opinion.
Hmm. Well, and I'll second that. When you do the study again, um, I want people to understand they're not trying to promote, oh, you're going to have all this poor, you're not having poor neighborhoods, you're not having that. But I do think you need to understand that with the way things are going, it's going to be rather difficult to have
Yeah.
those jobs that are paying you that six figures anymore.
Even if they are, like, I'll use myself as an example.
Hmm.
When I was working at Spark and when I came on full time as the urban development coordinator,
Hmm.
I was only making 52, I'm saying only,
Hmm.
but I was making 52K a year. And like you were saying earlier, that's before taxes come out.
That's right.
So, um, even having a degree and having a job, a good paying job that had good benefits and all that, at that rate, I wouldn't be able to afford to live in the urban core.
No, and you're single.
I'm single. I'm just one
One
person. I don't got no kids. All I
one
got is my little
dependent.
dog.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a car note. I paid my
Uh-huh.
car off years ago and
Mhm.
money is still tight, you know? So
And that
um I,
it is because you have to pay for your housing, you have to pay a lot of housing, you got your utilities. Even if you have your car paid off, you still have to have maintenance on the car, you have to pay for licensing on that car if anything goes wrong, and you got to pay insurance. And insurance sure isn't going down every year. And so, it's very difficult. People just I don't think it hits until it hits them. And
Mhm.
then they realize, and I know people who own homes, you got just recently you got a little green card. And I laugh gonna say it's a green card, but that's what color they made it. And um to look at that and you see the increase that your property is going to go up. And one thing, Clarissa, if you could go back like those people who are there and they're housing within that area of the uh, urban core,
Hmm.
your home is going, your property tax is going to go up
Hmm.
because the new homes that are coming in, where your home may have been evaluated at 200,000, these new homes are coming in, and that's a low number, 200,000, but they're coming in. So if the majority of those are 250,000, guess what? You're not going to be taxed. That levy, that meal tax is not going to be on 200,000 anymore because it's based upon what is in the surrounding areas. What did the houses, what were they selling for, and so forth. So that's going to make, people should, I guess I'm trying to get to you. It's going to affect you, even if you don't have to move or your house isn't bought. Um, Guess what? Your taxes is going to go up. And so I just don't think people are getting it. Um, because they're not really understanding it's going to have. It's kind of like a cancer again. I have to go back. Cancer goes and spreads, and it might be a small, and if it's not taken and eradicated, it's going to get larger and larger. So in essence, it's going to affect you and further out. So um, I think people just have to start wondering and getting focusing on it could be me and it doesn't take because even like you said you were single and everything, good paying job in a sense, but still how close were you, and you're kind of frugal, so how close were you to almost living from paycheck to paycheck? And people, if you're living
Hmm.
paycheck to paycheck, it's hey, it only takes that one paycheck, to so anything else you want to throw out on the on that particular?
Not, no, I think we pretty much covered it. I mean,
Okay.
I guess I also don't know if people know like what neighborhoods are encompassed in that urban core redevelopment plan. I guess I could share that.
Sure.
So it's not just downtown and midtown. So it's,
Hmm.
downtown area around Leavenworth, that neighborhood over there, which we're already seeing with all these, new apartments
Hmm.
and coffee shops and these cool bars and stuff, which are all things that I also enjoy, right? But it's pushing people out that have lived there for a very long time. That and the development from UNMC. So Leavenworth, Midtown Crossing, Blackstone, and Gifford Park is included in that as well too.
Hmm.
Um, and that is one of the sort of few neighborhoods in the urban core where there's still like a significant amount of Black population, Black and Brown.
Mm. In the Leavenworth
Gifford
area,
Park.
or oh, Gifford Park. Yes, Gifford Park.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would
Gifford
say
Park.
yes. I'm thinking more because it's going like to Walnut, and you're not going to see as much. But there again, people are thinking, oh, it's not me, it's those other people.
Yeah,
Guess what?
it's going to
It
impact
could be
everybody.
you, and it will be you because you are already, you might own your home right now, but when it starts to go up, and like I said, when you start seeing that tax bill and that, some the previous mayor, I never raise the taxes. People do not understand what your taxes is based on,
Mhm.
and that's what's going to make difference. So it is a population thing, and you know, I think people aren't understanding it's not just a race issue, it is economic issue. And
Mhm.
like I said, we could be so close to being out of that job. And when you are living paycheck to paycheck, because they say now the average family doesn't even have $1,500 in their emergency fund.
Yeah.
And that doesn't take much to happen. If you don't have like insurance, medical costs, you 15 that little 1,500, or if you have to have a automobile expense,
Hmm.
so what do? You're right there. Well, Clarice, I really want to thank you for taking some time out. Because like I say, you are a busy person. Just go, 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 go. And I want to take a few minutes to talk about your latest project. Like, I don't know where she fits the time in, but let's tell the audience about what you and a couple of your cohort friends are doing for North 24th Street.
Oh, I was like, what project? That's something that I'm super excited about,
Okay.
and that brings me a
She's
lot
so
of
excited,
joy.
folks. She couldn't remember what it was.
So I'm not gonna, we haven't got the deed or the keys yet. So that's why it's kind of like, pushed off to the side of my mind at least. But myself and two friends of mine, Stephanie and Amara, we applied to get the Manderson Marketplace
Hmm.
from the city of Omaha. We did that application, I don't know, 6, 8 or something months ago, and our RFP was selected. So we will be um, having a sort of like wellness, um, agriculture, wellness, and like gardening headquarters on 24th Street. We will be under the umbrella of the Omaha Sunflower Cooperative,
Hmm.
which is a farming co-op that supports BIPOC farmers in the sort of like Omaha metropolitan area. Stephanie is the founder and leader of that organization. And then Amara, excuse me, has her own wellness brand. Uh, and she does a lot of different things from um, herbal wellness to mindfulness
Hmm.
practices, and even native garden and like herbal garden installations. She knows how to create all the different tinctures and things from native plants and herbs that we can use to help um, heal our bodies. And then, of course, with Healing Roots. Uh, I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with our programming, but we're a African diaspora garden, and we provide free, fresh, and culturally relevant produce to community. Um, and it's also sort of like a teaching garden too. So
Hmm.
when neighbors and kids in the neighborhood are interested, they always have space to come and learn. And then all three of us, also do like a range of programming from workshops on like soil health
Hmm.
to things that are more creative, like making paper or utilizing natural dyes. And then other things like canning workshops and making hot sauce. Um, Historically, the Omaha Sunflower Co-op has also done plant sales every season. So that is going to be a permanent space for that. And then we are also exploring the idea of there being a small farmers market there too. So I'm very excited to have that space. The space will be open for community as well. Um, Miss Ella, from what I understand, Miss Ella was a part of the process and even getting that Manderson Marketplace built. And
Hmm.
Neighborhood Action and Facts used it for a
Right.
very long time. And already let Miss Ella know you're welcome to come back and use the space
Hmm.
anytime you would like for meetings or frying fish, playing dominoes, like whatever it may be. You're welcome to come. I've heard stories about the good
Oh,
times that were had in there.
yes,
Um,
indeed.
yeah, but I'm really excited for that. We're actually going to be um, signing the deed and getting the keys in a few weeks here. So,
Great, great. And I think it's always positive when young people can come together and form something that's happening with the community. I think that's really important. So we wish you the very, very best. And knowing I don't know Amir very well, but the other two, Stephanie and you, I know. And the only thing I can do is say it will go up, up, expand. And make sure you keep those stuff, the garden stuff, keep it to the side for me. I'll come pick it up. Just call me. But I'm gonna be up front. You know that. I'm not gonna put my hand, I'm not digging nothing. So with that again, Clarice, thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Yep, have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.